All right, how I made leg day super fun. It sounds impossible, I know. For years, I did leg days and I fucking hated it. I would skip it half the time or I'd half-ass it half the time. Very seldom did I get much in the way of leg development or strength gains in my legs because it was super boring and thus I couldn't adhere to it. And it's kind of become a meme at this point that leg day is like very difficult and everyone hates it. And it's like, bro, we're doing legs today. No, let's skip it. Let's do arms. Like it's literally a joke nowadays. However, through the last few years, I've developed ways of making leg day actually probably my most favorable day of the week when it comes to training. Granted, right now I have, one good arm and then one tiny little leprosy arm from an injury. So I can't really train upper body all that well. But even when I was able to train my upper body pretty decently, I was enjoying leg day a lot. And there's been a few extra repetitions since the injury that have made me hone in my leg day even more because I've been really focusing on my legs during this injury. So I thought I'd make this video today, and I guarantee you by the end of it that you are going to enjoy leg day. It might even become your favorite day of the week when it comes to training. So let's get into it. First things first is high intensity, as usual, duh. I have a bias for high intensity training. However, I'm not really particularly talking about, what's more optimal or what one builds more muscle or strength. I'm not so much caring about that right now. What I'm talking about is having more fun. And high intensity training will be more fun because it's shorter and it's less frequent. Part of why I hated leg day so much in previous years was because I was doing volume. And when you're doing volume, your leg days take anywhere between an hour and 3 hours long. That's a long fucking time. And you're training legs 2 to 3 times a week to overcompensate for the fact I wasn't training with that much volume. Now, whether or not this could be more optimal or not, I do not care. I could argue until the fucking cows come home about that particular topic. However, from a fun perspective, high intensity is more fun. Rather than spending anywhere between 4 to 6 hours a week on leg day, you're now going to be spending 20 to 30 minutes of real hard intensity, really focused, zoned in, all out effort, 20 to 30 minutes, not too hard, once a week. Since switching to high intensity training, I haven't skipped a single leg day, and I've put every ounce of my soul into my leg days ever since. And thus, again, regardless of the optimization argument, my legs have grown significantly. And more importantly, I'm having fun with my leg days, which then allows my legs to grow due to adherence. So that's the first biggest piece of advice I could give you is simply just switch to high intensity training and you're not gonna have a hard time training legs anymore. It is just that much easier. Rather than pulling the band-aid off real slowly or pulling a few band-aids off really slowly, you're pulling one big fuck off band-aid off really quickly and then it's done. You don't have to do it again for another week. Now, in saying all that, if you aren't sold on high intensity training for whatever reason, you don't believe you can build big legs with high intensity, even though Tom Platz, Mike Mensa, Dorian Yates, me, and thousands of others have, so be it, all good. You can keep doing volume if you'd like. However, consider trying to lower your volume because if you're hating your leg day and you're not giving it that much effort, then you should change at least something. So rather than doing, say, 3 leg days a week, do 2 leg days a week. And rather than doing, say, 4 sets of 8 to 12, do 2 sets of 6 to 8. So you're doing less repetitions and less sets. Increase the intensity, lower the volume. And this way, you will spend less time in the gym and you'll be doing less leg days a week, probably end up getting more gains because as we know from just scientific studies, this is not even a high intensity thing. Mechanical tension is the primary, if not the single driver of hypertrophy. So if you're doing a bunch of volume, this might not necessarily be giving you anything extra than if you had just put into account a bit more intensity. Rather than doing 3 reps in reserve or 2 reps in reserve or whatever it is, do 1 rep in reserve and do 2 sets. Or maybe do high intensity, or maybe do a mix of both. But stop doing so many sets, lower the volume, up the intensity, lower the frequency. You won't be training as much. You won't be doing as much leg day activity. And if you don't like leg day, that's good news. Next point is exercise selection. So you need to choose exercises that work for you and ones that you enjoy doing. For example, for the longest time, I'd hear people say, do the barbell squat. The barbell squat is you have to do barbell squats to get big legs. Without it, you'll never get big legs, shit like that. Tom Platz including. And you hear Tom Platz say something about legs and you go, well, I should probably do it then because Tom Platz had the biggest legs of all time. But the difference between me and Tom Platz is Tom Platz was 5 for 5 with no spine injuries and great leverages for squats. I'm 6 foot tall and I have a bulging disc in my spine. The squat, fucking sucks for developing leg size for me. On top of that, just because someone big said something doesn't mean it is the gospel. On the flip side, Dorian Yates didn't do squats. He did leg presses and hack squats and had fucking massive legs as well. Probably similar size to Tom Platz. So you don't necessarily need a barbell squat or a deadlift, and in a lot of cases, it's actually going to be inferior. For me, barbell squats don't work for so many different reasons. First one is I find them fucking shitty and boring for the following next points. Is the fact that I have a bulging disc in my spine, so I get back pain. My lower back and core gives out before my legs do, just based off my biomechanics. Because I like high intensity training, I can't take them to mechanical failure because there's a stability aspect and I'll fall over and fucking crush myself with a barbell. And even taking all those out of the equation, I just never really felt my quadriceps getting hit at all. The stimulus to fatigue sucked and they hurt and I hated them. So, barbell squat, great for one person, terrible for me. I bought a hack squat machine recently. In the last 3 months, I've built more quad development than I had in probably a year and a half of training my legs, even in a calorie maintenance / deficit. Because on the hack squat, I liked it. So it's easier to adhere to. It's easier to put my heart and soul into it. It takes no stability or technical prowess, and thus I can focus more on the quadriceps. The limitation isn't the pain. I don't get any pain on hack squats. The limitation isn't my lower back or core. So there's a bunch of different bullet points I go over why the hack squat is better for than the barbell squat for me, and generally in general. But I'm not going down that one because I know people like the normal barbell squat. But point being is choose exercises you like. If you're 5'5" and you look like Tom Platz, or you have a Tom Platz kind of build, cool, go for it. Do a barbell squat. If you can really hit your quads really well with that, no problems. But if the barbell squat or a deadlift doesn't work for you, then so be it. Do a different variation. At the end of the day, we're looking for mechanical tension. And if you can get mechanical tension with the best stimulus to fatigue ratio close to or to failure, then you're going to grow muscles. You don't have to have some fucking miracle movement. It doesn't really matter how you do it. Just get a decent load, and it could be a hack squat, could be a leg press, could be a squat. Which one do you like the most? Choose it, do it. Simple as. Same with hamstrings. You don't have to do a deadlift. You could do a hamstring curl, or you could do a Nordic curl. What do you like doing? Do it. Progressively overload it. Does it hit your muscles well? Good. Do you not feel pain? Good. That's it. That's all you need to know. Just do those exercises. Don't do fucking a myriad of random exercises you don't like, which is kind of the next point, is how many exercises. Something I have fell into before, and many of you probably fall into, is using way too many exercises for your quadriceps. Again, exercise selection. You don't need 4 different quadricep exercises. You can pretty well stimulate all 4 heads of the quadriceps with 2, maximum 3 exercises. Maybe you have a hard time hitting your VMO or something. But in most cases, 1 to 2 exercises will stimulate plenty quad growth. I simply do 1 exercise for quads now. I do a hack squat with a few strip sets to really hit every motor neuron. You certainly do not need 4, 5, 6 different variations. That's going to be monotonous and time consuming, which then becomes boring. And most of those are redundant and they take away from the intensity of effort you put into the ones that are actually effective. I used to do this a lot. I'd put effort into some shitty exercises, but someone told me I should be doing them, or that's just like the zeitgeist of the training at the time, or the volume training. There's numerous different exercises to hit the different heads. I'm like, man, shouldn't I just put my energy into those 2 exercises that are really doing it for me? But I never quite did that. And then recently, that's what I started doing it. Lo and behold, I got gains because I just started doing the fun ones that work well for me. So realistically, you only need 1 to 2 exercises per body part. In the case of the quadriceps, maybe a leg extension because it hits your VMO better, and then you do a hack squat as a compound movement to really get that heavy mechanical tension and all the heads hit distributed evenly. Then you might do a hamstring curl seated, and then you might do laying to get a stretch, sort of a lengthened partial or whatever you want to do. But 1 to 2 exercises per muscle. That way you're in and out of the gym quicker and you can focus more zoned in on those exercises. The legs are not a ball and socket, joint. It's not like the shoulders where there's 3 different functions. You have, the front delt for pressing, side lateral raises for the side delt, and then, rear delt raises for rear delt. You can't like hit them as a whole generally. Whereas the quadriceps, you very well can. Same with the hamstrings, same with the glutes, because they're not a ball and socket joint. Well, the hips are with the glutes, but I digress. The glutes, you can pretty much get away with just 1 exercise and hit them. Maybe 2, so you can hit the maximus and the medius with some abduction. Next point is calves and or abs on a separate day. So especially for you guys doing volume, this could be very important for a few reasons. One, when you have 2 body parts at the end of your quads, glutes, and hamstring, big, heavy compound movements, heavy fatiguing exercises that are, you use to stimulate these muscles. If you then throw calves and abs at the end, not only is your leg day going to be longer and more arduous, you're going to be daunting it beforehand because it's so long. These muscles are going to suffer because you can't put that much intensity into your abs when you've just done 6 different fucking sets of hardcore exercise. And if you're doing volume, good fucking luck. I used to just skip calves and abs at the end of volume day because I'd be 2 hours into the workout and go, fuck that shit. Or I'd do it, but I would do it so half-assedly, I never got gains. It wasn't until I switched to high intensity did my calves and abs start actually developing, because I had enough resources to train them after, a 20, 30 minute long leg day. But even then, I started throwing calves and abs on a separate day. I started doing accessory days. That way I could give them the deserved stimulus that they needed, rather than maybe slightly half-assing it at the end of a high intensity session. But if you're doing volume, then definitely throw calves and abs on their own day, separate to leg day, especially legs. Legs the hardest day of the week. If you want to do, you want to tailor these at the end of, say, a shoulder or arm session, that makes far more logical sense, even in a high intensity context. Personally, I do abs on my leg day because my leg day is only 4 exercises. No, 3. I do hack squat, I do a Nordic curl, and I do a back extension, and then I do some sit-ups after that to stimulate my abs. So I don't really even need to have a separate day for abs. But if you're doing a longer leg day than that, then yeah, throw calves and abs on a separate day if need be. And that can make your leg day more fun and more adherable. Next is make it intense, make it fun. It is much easier to have fun when you're getting fucking intense with it. Have you ever been to a metal concert? Were you bored? No, make your fucking leg day a metal concert. I mean, if you like metal, I don't know. If you like hard rock, whatever music you like, put on some fucking hard metal, put on some hard rock, whatever it is, get intense, drink a bunch of coffee before it, and get intense with it. For the difficult, as Korea Coast Grizzly says, enjoy the difficult process. You can get pleasure, you can derive pleasure from fucking difficult tasks. And on top of that, think about this. Is it easier to deal with pain when you're angry or when you're sad? It's easier when you're angry. Generally, angry or anger is more intense than sadness. I mean, obviously you can be more intensely sadness, but my point being is when you're all fucking amped up and angry and listening to fucking Pantera or Slayer and you're just getting all fucking intense with it, maybe you don't have fun, cool, but I sure as shit you won't be bored when you're all fucking amped up and ready to go. And by the end of it, you'll be like, I'm having fun. My leg days are fun as shit. I put my headphones on, I caffeine the fuck up, I get fucking psyched up, and I do 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of leg day from hell, and it's fucking sick. It's so much fun. That's probably one of the biggest points, is just simply make it fun by being intense. And it's much easier to do that when you do high intensity training. It's hard to sustain intensity throughout a long volume workout. It's very easy to put all your fucking, heart and soul into a heavy, hardcore fucking 15 to 20, maybe 30-minute workouts. And by proxy of all that, you probably get better gains, because if you're going mad, insane, going hardcore, training hard as fuck, you're probably going to get more stimulus from that exercise than if you were like half-assing it, doing a 3-hour long fucking workout, or you're doing 10 minutes between your 5x5, 3 reps in reserve with RPE 7. Or did I miss out any extra exercise science to this? Let me think. Let me go check my logbook. Nah, fuck that shit. Go get intense. Have fun with it. Next is maybe do a leg day every time, or a new leg day every time. This is not something I particularly do or need to do, but let's say none of this shit really works for you. This is kind of a countermeasure, because I don't know, maybe some of you guys are just like, oh, I don't like being intense and I don't like getting most bang for my buck and saving time and having fun. If that's the case, then do a new leg day every time. Do a Ronnie Coleman leg day tomorrow. Then the next week do a fucking Jay Cutler leg day, and then maybe do a Arnold Schwarzenegger leg day. This could very well be a way of keeping it nice and spiced up every time. If you're a bit more ADHD and you can't repeat the same thing over and over again, if you're a bit more ADHD, maybe not so more autistic, then yeah, maybe it's better to go ADHD route and just fucking do new things every time. You won't be able to standardize progressions. You're not going to save much time, but if you like just spicing up and trying new things, maybe do a new leg day every time. Or do it in a high intensity context. You could cycle out different exercises from a week to week basis just to keep things fresh. Maybe week 1, you do a leg press as your main compound quad exercise. Next session, you do a hack squat. Next session, you do a pendulum squat. Just to keep things fresh if you like keeping things fresh. Next is, how much leg development do you really want? I personally want fucking massive quads, massive hamstrings. However, Some of you guys, or some people, just don't give a shit about leg size that much. They want some leg gains, they want some leg strength and function, they want to look like they have legs, but they don't care about having humongous legs. In which case, you don't really have to do a hell of a lot. You could probably do one set to failure, if not a rep or two in reserve of a hack squat or compound leg movement of your choice once a week, maybe once every other week, and then maybe throw in a hamstring variation to on top of that. You probably develop some decent leg strength. You could get done a fucking leg day in 5 minutes if you just wanted maybe 70, 80% of the leg development that you could otherwise get from doing 15, 20 minutes high intensity training. And there's nothing particularly wrong with this if you really don't want huge legs. Maybe you have incredible leg genetics to start with and you just hate leg day and you just want to maintain or maybe build upon your incredible leg genetics, maybe you're short, whatever, then don't do much. Literally, a compound quadricep exercise and then some sort of hamstring exercise, maybe a calf exercise. 3 exercises take maybe 2 to 3 minutes each. You could just rest, nothing in between, because you're not taking that much intensity to it, and you'll have some decent leg development. Or maybe you're just fucking so lazy, you hate leg day no matter what. Try doing what I just said every 2 weeks, and at least you'll get something done. Something is better than nothing, right? Because if you're not going to do anything at all based off what I've just said, because it's still too difficult, cool. If you can spare 5 to 10 minutes every 2 weeks to do what I just told you, one set with a rep in reserve, you'll still make some leg development. And through that process, you're going to create habit. So maybe one week you go, you know what, this is kind of like brushing my teeth. When I was a kid, I fucking hated it, but over time, it became natural to me. Maybe I'll just brush my teeth a bit longer one time, you say, as an adult, as your teeth get a bit more yellow. Or maybe as an adult, when you're doing leg day and you go, my legs got a bit bigger. Maybe I'll make them even bigger. Let me take this set to failure this week. And then you go, well, that wasn't that hard. Maybe rather than every 2 weeks, I'll do it weekly. And then maybe I'm going to do a drop set or a rest pause today. Maybe I'll add an extra exercise in. Maybe I'll do this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden, you've gone from sort of a half-assed, not quite optimized, or very, very far from optimized leg day to slowly, progressively overloading the intensity of effort on your leg day to being the point where you're like doing a full-fledged fucking Tom Platz workout because you fell in love with it because you did it slowly and habitually instead of sort of an extremist mentality. So if you really fucking hate leg day or you don't care about leg development that much or both, start real easy. The minimum effective dose, you'll still get some gains and then slowly progress it over time if you so please. Next one is intense sprinting and bike cardio or intense bike intervals. So this could very well apply to the last point too, the people in the last point I was just talking to, but even just to anyone listening. Intense sprinting will develop big hamstrings and glutes and some decent quadriceps and hamstring development. Look at sprinters' physiques. Granted, they do lift weights too. A lot of times they lift weights like fucking idiots. I don't know what it is about athletes. They're not very good at doing mechanical tension or good form or anything. They fall under a lot of like plyometric meme workouts. But regardless of the weight training aside, sprinters are huge in the leg development. And I think part of that, or a decent degree of that, is the fact that they're doing sprinting. We know intensity is the main driver of hypertrophy. Sprinting is fucking intense. You sprint maybe 10, 20, maximum 30 seconds because that's the maximum effort. It's a max out effort for a decent amount of time and attention. It is going to cause hypertrophy. It's also going to increase your lung capacity and your heart capacity. It's also going to burn calories. So you should already be doing cardio. And for a lot of people, cardio is fucking monotonous. I fucking hate cardio, but I tell you what I don't mind doing. 10 minutes of sprinting every other day. Burn 200-300 calories, maybe a bit more with the epoch effect. And all of a sudden, you've killed a fucking bunch of birds with one stone. You're burning more calories, you're building bigger legs, you can run away from people quicker for whatever reason. Don't reference me here if you ever get caught for whatever. And then you have bike. Look at Olympic bicyclists, the ones that go around the track, not the fucking Tour de France guys. They're all skinny twinks because they're doing volume, hint, hint. The guys that go around the tracks, really short distance Olympic ones, they also lift weights, granted, but these guys have literally bodybuilder tier quadriceps. It's fucking insane how big their legs are. And on top of that, there's a bunch of studies that show that when you do sort of mid to high intensity range cardio, leg dominant or any limb for that matter, you start to increase your capillary density. So if you do bike, there are a bunch of studies on bike specifically. If you do bike, not only are you going to develop bigger quadriceps from the stimulus because it's relatively intense, or if you make it intense, it will. You'll also increase your capillary mass, which will then give you better pumps, more cytoplasmic size. Who knows, you might even get some hyperplasia out of it. So Maybe if you absolutely hate training legs, you just do sprinting and bike because you already have to do cardio. Otherwise, you'll be a fat fuck or you won't be able to cut your weight properly. Or you do it on top of your leg day already and only exacerbate your gains. Last one is every little percentage of funness counts. So for me, leg day, I try to add as many little nuances that will make it more fun for me as possible. Recently, I started doing blood flow restriction bands because it means I can use less weight on the hack squat, which means a higher stimulus to fatigue ratio. It also means less likelihood of injury because I'm using less weight. I'm getting a better pump, which is fun. I like getting a fucking nasty pump in my quadriceps. And if you have knee pain, that could be very good. If you have knee pain, leg day's not much fun. Put a blood flow restriction band on, do a bit more warm-up sets, get a lot of blood flow, synovial fluid, etc. And all of a sudden, no more knee pain because I'm not using as much weight and I have more blood flow. So it could be small nuances like that. It could be that you have your cheat day on leg day. Your pre-workout meal for leg day is McDonald's. Gets you all sodium, fucking water attentive as fuck. Got all the sugar. Maybe you have like a fucking iced coffee. You get all like hyped up from the caffeine. You have this nice pleasurable meal. Dopamines increase, serotonin's increase. I'm ready to hit leg day because I just had a fucking family box from Macca's, which was 3,500 calories, and I'm a fat pig. But that is your reward for the fact that you do leg day following after that. Stack all these little percentages up, the cheat meal before leg day, the cheat meal after leg day, the BFR bands to reduce pain, the exercise selections that you enjoy, all the different things I just list, all of a sudden you have a fun fucking leg day. You'll do legs, your legs get bigger and stronger, win-win. Because at the end of the day, more fun equals more gains. If you're just having fun, you'll never work a day in your life. Same with legs, same with any exercise or anything in life, but leg day specifically, if you can make it fun, you're going to get more gains because you'll adhere to it. At the end of the day, what you can adhere to 100% of the time, even if it's only 90% effective or efficient, is far superior to what is 100% optimal that you only adhere to 10% of the time because it's fucking boring and unadherable. So have fun with your legs and your legs will fucking explode and everything will be sick. Peace out, bye.